As my ongoing political identity crisis continues, and my separation, some of you might say recovery, from my former liberal life lengthens, I often wonder where things went wrong. Like a bad relationship you know wasn't destined to work but still had fond moments you like to relive. Maybe we had different religious views, or maybe she was a clean freak and I was a slob. Was it the philosophy, or was it the behavior? In my political sense, was it the issues? Or was it the tactics? As my thought develops, it's becoming clearer to me this is more a behavioral issue than a philosophical one. I've come to question many of my former beliefs. I've outright changed a few of them. But where I differ from the left is not purely on the issues. I can disagree, but agree to disagree. When I can see where you're coming from, and I can understand the reasoning behind why you believe what you do. But when your reasoning and your actions don't line up, or even outright contradict, I'm left to dislike you not just because you're wrong, but because you're wildly inconsistent with yourself. Take, for example, Black Lives Matter trying to ban white people from public meetings in a public facility in order to further the cause of anti-racism. Or UCLA blocking Ben Shapiro from speaking in order to promote a free exchange of ideas. Or Planned Parenthood ripping Donald Trump for being cruel to a baby, as they did this week. Add babies to the list of people Donald Trump would kick out of his campaign rallies, which of course is unfair. Donald Trump provides pap smears and a range of other preventative healthcare services. It's fine to strive for racial equality if you don't yourself show racial bias. It's fine to strive for free speech if you don't yourself silence others. In my view, it's even fine to provide abortion services if you don't criticize other people's treatment of infants. In short, I suppose it's a staggering lack of self-awareness that may truly be fueling my ongoing divorce with the left. It's hard enough to process this hypocrisy and this self-obliviousness on a case-by-case basis, but this week, one of you tweeted me an example of a case that completes the trifecta. Racial exclusion in the name of racial justice, silencing a person in the name of free speech, forcibly removing that person from a public space in the name of anti-violence, all of this in under 2 minutes of footage. We'll get to that momentarily. First, let's set the stage. New York City has been the scene this week for protest from a group called Millions March NYC, who is demanding the firing of NYPD Chief Bill Bratton and an end to his broken windows policing policies or aggressive policing of minor crimes, in theory to prevent major crimes.
Our first demand is that Bill de Blasio must fire Bill Bratton and end broken windows policing.
The group also wants reparations for survivors of police brutality.
The city must pay reparations to all victims and survivors of racist police brutality and murder.
And the defunding of the NYPD with that money redirected into minority communities.
Defund the NYPD and to reinvest that money in Black and brown communities.
And to be clear, that means ending the NYPD as an institution.
Their aim is focused on the NYPD, their demand to do away with the agency altogether.
Judging by the footage, it looks less like a Millions March and more like a Dozens March, maybe. With their time in the park, the protesters' primary accomplishment so far is renaming the space they occupy.
We call this space!
We call this space!
We declare this space!
And we declare this space!
As Abolition Square!
As Abolition Square!
Yes, Abolition Square, proudly renamed from its former title, Slavery is Awesome Park. Actually, it's just City Hall Park. Abolition, of course, was 150 years ago. The only thing we've abolished here is timeliness. The protest group has also spoken to reporters about the danger they are in and the degree to which they feel unsafe. After the NYPD set up metal barricades around the park, one protester said to local radio, "I feel like I'm in Iraq. I've never been to Iraq, okay, but it feels like we are getting ready for war." We all remember the fear of Saddam Hussein's weapons of mass destruction.
The purpose of that resolution was to disarm Iraq of its weapons of mass destruction.
But we often forget his other threat, his weapons of traffic obstruction. Death to the West, and also minor inconveniences. A protest leader was annoyed by a reporter's question about keeping the peace.
Nabil Hussein is one of the organizers. He became angry when he was asked if he can guarantee that this event will stay peaceful.
So, I have to say I'm really tired of the way that people are always asking us to be peaceful. Like, why don't y'all go ask the police to be peaceful?
I suppose the reporter asked because these protesters have a history of reacting crazily, sometimes violently, to the mere presence of a person who doesn't share their views. What might happen, for example, if a person walked straight into Abolition Park with a Make America Great Again hat?
Why the hell are you supporting Trump? You coming, your presence here, talking this, that's violent. No, your white supremacy, that's violent, okay? We do not condone violence.
Yeah, that seems about right. The ideas we are baselessly accusing you of having are violence, but our physical, forcible bullying of you, well, that's non-violent, of course. How could it be violent? Just look. Our hands are up.
Being a crazy person. We do not condone violence. This is not your space. This is a space for black and brown lives.
Yes, Abolition Park, as we call it, in the name of anti-racism, is a space for only certain flesh tones. So get out. We can tell you're racist based on your skin color.
Go to Trump rally. Go to Trump Tower. You're not going to do that here. You're not going to do that here. You're not going to do that. Racist out! 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 Racist out!
That shove right there, that was to remind him that his violence is not welcome here. Just checking. What was the group's stance on violence again?
We do not condone violence. Racist out! Racist out! Racist out! Racist out! Fascist out! Fascist out! Fascist out! Fascist out! Fascist out! Fascist out!
How anti-fascist to relocate someone using an article of clothing as an indicator of their unwelcomeness.
You remember me? Oh, yo, I know where you live, motherfucker.
And look, and then you guys have always fucking pressed filming this motherfucker. Like, this is exactly what they want. So fucking agitate us.
Yeah, this guy's just out here making a scene. Who the hell does he think he is, strolling a public area with a political message? We can't have agitation in this park. Only calls to ruin the career of the police chief, to give us free money, and to terminate the NYPD altogether. But no agitation. That's just way out of line.
Like, please get back to the fucking rally. Like, this is not worth it at all.
I'm gonna get my opinion out.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Okay, how about a compromise? We find solutions when we find middle ground. Let's give these protesters half of what they want. Let's defund the NYPD, but use the money instead to fly them to their own colony on Mars. Or fly me to intellectual refuge on Mars, because I don't want to share a planet with them. This is the classic example of why I feel politically exiled from the left. It's not necessarily about the issues. Perhaps policing in New York City has been over the top. Perhaps broken windows policing is bad in theory and in practice. Perhaps minority communities do need investment to create good living conditions and create opportunities for people to better their lives. I could probably be persuaded on each one of these issues, individually or altogether, given a reasoned case. But using these tactics, you lose me forever. Taking over a public space and refusing to share it, shouting down your opposition, shoving your opposition, threatening your opposition. I don't care if you have a perfect plan to deliver puppies and rainbows to every single American, all while eliminating the national debt. If you insist on implementing your policy ideas through authoritarian tactics, you lose me. Based on what you say, we all agree that racism, violence, and coercion are not the methods through which we want to build society. But based on what you do, they appear to be your preferred tactics. The social justice crowd often likes to discuss who's on the, quote, right side of history. Maybe it's time to start behaving on the right side of history. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below and especially over on Twitter. That is @skag_3. You're always welcome to come hang out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Okay, bye.